Alright, I want to make this video about this one rapper that was gunned down while he went to buy a cookie somewhere in the hood. He's an African American rapper. Now, one thing that's quite weird about this story already. This guy left the hood, okay? And he became successful in making music. Okay, he goes back to the same hood where he went to some shop to purchase a cookie and he was gunned down. And there's been another report that there was a memorial made for him the day afterwards, and at the memorial where other people came and also shot over there. So I don't know what's going on over there. Investigation is going on. But what I want to point out in this video is the following. This man, he was in his late 30s. He has a wife, he has children, and now the wife's a widow and the children grow up further without a father. So that's sad, he was gunned down like that. Now, he didn't gun himself down, he didn't commit suicide, he was killed. So I don't approve what happened, absolutely not. What I do want to point out is that that's not the full story. This man was producing music with negative content. And he was sending this negative content in the black community. Now, it wouldn't have mattered if he was Chinese and he did it to the Chinese community, or if he was white and did it to whites, or if he was Arab, did it to Arabs. If you operate in negativity, that negativity is harming you because you operate in it. That's one thing. When you send out negativity into the community, at some point you're going to attract other negative people towards you. So you put yourself at risk. And that's what this man was doing. He even made a song bragging that his car was shot at with 100 bullets and he survived. Okay. He even had a song in which he bragged about sleeping with the baby mama of another man. So, this man was producing fear-based content, because that's what it is, and he'll send this out. And now, that fear frequency backfired, and someone who was also on fear frequency felt a click with him and came and escalated on him. And now he's dead. Now, the relatives are mourning, so I'm not disrespecting the relatives. I'm not dishonoring them. I'm pointing out that if someone passes away, they're gone. There's nothing we can do about that anymore. They're gone. The only thing we can do is learn from the life they've lived. And whether it's good lessons or tragic lessons, we need to study those that pass away. Not to play God by saying, oh, they were unworthy, filthy people. Now, if they were filthy, they were filthy. But I'm not here to make a final judgment about this man that was gunned down. I'm pointing out that even if you don't make a final verdict about the man, it's clear he kept himself endangered. Why would a grown man, far in his 30s, approaching 40, with wife and children, keep himself in danger like that? Somebody was out of his mind. So what I'm pointing out here is that when tragedy happens, yes, we should have sympathy, we should have empathy, sometimes pity when necessary, but we should not lose ourselves in empathy. We should also use our common sense and our logical faculties to examine and discern the situation. Look, let's say you have, let's say someone was robbed, okay? He left the metro station, was on his way home, and people jumped on him with a knife and took his wallet from him. And then you have someone who got involved in some cryptocurrency, which wasn't that reliable. He ignored the red flags and ended up losing his money. Now, by law, both have been robbed. Okay, they both have been robbed. But the one was overtaken by violence. Okay? He didn't even have a chance to defend himself or to run away. He was overtaken. The other one was involved in a situation that didn't add up, but because he was so greedy or so focused on the profit, he ignored the red flags. So yes, he's robbed too, but in this case, it's also partially on him because he should have noticed the red flags. I mean, if someone tells you you can invest 100 euros and you get 10,000 euros as revenue, so you have to think, this sounds a bit too good to be true. So that's an example. Let's give another example. Let's say a woman just left work. She walks on her way home, and suddenly a group of men jump on her, tear her clothes off, and gang rape her. Horrible, absolutely. Now let's say now you have another scenario where you have a bunch of women who they put on a lot of makeup, they wear those those outfits that they're kind of revealing. They put on expensive perfume. They will also trigger people to notice when they're around, and they're loud. So they're also loud when they talk, so they want people to notice them. And they go to a club where people are drunk or people are high on drugs, and they go in a mist of sex-starved men who are drunk, begin to twerk on those men. They even begin to touch the men and act horny towards the men. And later, some of those men see that as an invitation, as consent, and the man ends up entering them. You get what I mean. And later they claim, oh, I've been raped, I didn't give consent, blah, blah, blah. Now, the first situation of rape is obvious. The woman was just overtaken by a bunch of creeps. In the second situation, the women knew full well that there were creeps over there, but they purposely put themselves at risk. And when it went wrong, now they're all the victim and they want sympathy from everyone. Now, I'm not saying that if it happens that they were taken advantage of sexually, that it's a good thing, that I approve of it. I don't approve of it. I'm just pointing out, okay, it did happen, but you contributed to what happened to you by putting yourself at risk. Because you shouldn't even have wanted to be in that location. Dressed in such a provoking way with expensive perfume, being loud, and also being being physically close to those men. You were the one twerking on them and having a good time, right? If you know those men want more and they're desperate for more, why put yourself at risk like that? I know feminists are going to lose their mind here in this video. I don't care. I didn't approve rape under any circumstance. I didn't. I pointed out when bad things happen, yes, we should have compassion, we should have empathy, we should have pity. All those things are proper. But we should also use our rational faculties to examine the situation. Not to blame the victim, because that's not what I'm doing here. Listen, if the victim had a role in what happened because they kept themselves in danger, then, okay, they've been victimized, the perpetrator is to blame, but they also play a part in it. If the victim played a part in it, we need to admit that too. Okay, because then the victim who survived can learn, okay, I won't do that anymore. Then other people can learn, okay, the next time don't do that. But if someone is self-destructive or if someone is unwise, and because of that they put themselves at risk, at any time they're at risk, people just rescue them and they never address the situation properly, that individual will remain defective. And then you'll end up having to rescue them over and over again. So, what I'm saying is that whenever a tragedy or something bad happens, don't just give judgments without examining the context. That's foolish. But also don't fall for this empathy trap of having endless emotional sympathy on a situation or on people, or don't go into blind rage against the perpetrator without seeing the full context of what's going on. Okay? We as believers need to learn to pass sound judgment. If we don't pass sound judgment, we can't address the evil amongst us and we can't uproot the evil. To uproot the evil, you have to replace it with better. How do you replace bad with better? How do you uproot evil and replace it with better? You do that by identifying the evil, but also by admitting how come this evil unfolded so easily. By dealing with the root and in the context, you manage to build a better context. But if you go into blind rage against the perpetrators, or you go into blind sympathy towards the people that were victimized, you never get ahead. Well, these things have to be taught. Again, I don't blame victims if they're victimized. Absolutely not. If the victim, however, played a role by ignoring red flags or by not listening to sound advice, then we need to hold the victim accountable for keeping themselves in a dangerous situation too. We have to hold victims accountable for putting themselves at risk unnecessarily. Look, if you're a firefighter and a building's on fire and you and your fellow firefighters need to get people out, that's different. Then you put yourself at risk because it's your job and you're professionally doing so. You get me? Or if someone tries to kidnap a child and you see them trying to drag the child away, you can smack the adult. I don't approve violence, but you can smack the adult and push him aside and rescue the child. That's different. But you don't put yourself at risk unnecessarily. Either by neglect towards yourself or to neglect towards others, or however it happens, you don't put yourself at risk unnecessarily. So we should also hold victims accountable if there was some self-neglect or some defect on their part. That doesn't mean we blame them for what happened, so it means we educate them so that they will never end up in similar situations again. So they won't end up in a similar situation anymore. That's also something we need to do as believers. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Keep on agreeing with Christ and be at peace.